Good morning, Cedars Church family. Coming at you again today with another word of encouragement to start your day. There's a lot going on right now. There's a lot of rules and a lot of new changes that we've had to address in our society, and that's globally, actually, all around the world. And it's been everything from keep your distance from people, don't wear masks, do wear masks, what do you do with your masks? We're having to keep 6 feet apart. We're having to stay at home. That adds a whole new burden on us. How do I pay my bills? Do I keep my job? Is my job essential? How am I going to pay rent? How am I going to take care of my taxes? How do we manage everything? So we've got all these new rules, regulations, and all of these burdens that are landing upon our lives right now. In Matthew chapter 11, Jesus was dropping kind of a heavy bomb on people. He was going to make a statement. It wasn't new doctrine. It wasn't some grandiose statement. He was saying something very simply, but he was trying to reach you and me and trying to reach out to the people that he was talking to. It was a very, very important statement. He says in verse 28, he says, "Come to me, all of you who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest." That word for being weary, it's the word exhausted. If you're exhausted, if you're burdened, and mind you, when he was talking about being burdened, he was referring to the law. And so we've got all these rules to keep in order to just be safe from the virus. They were trying to maintain their salvation. Heaven was at stake. And so they were working hard every day to keep the law and to do the sacrifices and to obey and maintain everything that they were supposed to just to maintain their salvation. And so Jesus says, look, if this is all coming down on you, if you're exhausted doing all of these things, exhausted keeping a law that feels impossible to keep, he says, come to me, all of you who are weary, and I will give you rest. And that word for rest, it's the word refreshed. I will give you refreshment. I will refresh you. And then he says, take my yoke upon you and learn from me. When he says, take my yoke, the yoke is that thing that the oxen wear. It goes across the backs of the two oxen or around their necks, and that's how they would plow. He says, take my yoke upon you and learn from me. Basically, he says, I'm going to be one ox, you're going to be the other ox, and you're going to follow me, but I'm going to do all the work. I'm gonna handle everything. You walk by me, and so you take my yoke on you and let me do the work, because I'm gentle and I'm humble in heart. And that word for gentle, it's meekness. He's saying I'm meek. In the Old Testament, the meek were those who were wholly relying on God rather than on their own strength for their defense. So he says, I'm like this, you be like this. I want you to wholly rely on God, wholly rely on me, completely rely upon me, rather than on your own strength. Let me do the work, and you will be defended. So he says, take my yoke upon you, learn from me, for I'm gentle and I'm humble in heart, and you will find rest for your souls. You ever feel the need to just have rest for your souls? That's what we would call peace, to be able to have peace. He says, for my yoke is easy and my burden is light. It's so important for us to be able to have that peace, and we've talked about this. This is being able to engage in the kingdom of heaven. When we get to live with him for all eternity, we will be at true peace. And yet he says, I will extend my peace to you now. I will extend that to you so you can actually partake of it even now in your lives, and you can have peace. So he says that you don't need to fear. You don't need to have anxiety. Again, from a couple days ago, to let tomorrow worry about itself. Today has enough troubles of its own. Seek and you will find that we can rely on Him. You can trust in Him for all of these things. Will you trust Him today? C.S. Lewis, I'll leave you with one final quote. C.S. Lewis, the great author, he made a comment. He said, "Aim at heaven and you'll get earth thrown in. Aim at earth and you'll get neither." When we strive for eternity, when we strive to trust in Him and know that He will take us to the very end, when we can trust Him in all of these things, when we can take our burdens and lay them at His feet, when we allow Him to do all the work from our salvation to just our day-to-day lives, He will extend heaven to our lives, even here on earth. But if we're going to strive, if we're going to work super hard, I can do this. I'm going to just do the grind and I can make it happen. We're not going to find peace. So let's look to Him for our peace. Let's trust Him. Let's look to Him. And you will have rest. You will have refreshment for your soul. Well, God bless you guys. Have yourselves a great day. And remember, you are loved.